are hurting. Over the last few years, everything has gotten more expensive, from the cost of groceries to the cost of housing.
Tourists are avoiding Florida like it has emotional herpes. Florida tourism is down, beach businesses are dying, and the people are somehow surprised about it. Come to Florida, where the sun burns your skin and the governor burns your identity. It's so politically toxic that even the alligators are switching parties.
Last year, Canadians made over 20 million visits to the U.S. and spent more than $20 billion here. But this year, many are not coming to America.
So it looks like some Florida beach community businesses are struggling with a lack of summer tourism. And it looks like they can't seem to figure out why.
For us either. I don't know if it's the hurricane, the economy, a mix of the two, but we've definitely been, everybody around here that I spoke to has been down about 30%.
But, I have a couple of ideas as to why this is possibly happening. I'm gonna venture a guess and say that it has something to do that happened back in November of 2024. I mean, our Canadian neighbors from the north are cutting back on traveling to the US. And even other international visitors are cutting back on traveling to the US because of political tensions. And it looks like spending from international visitors is looking to drop by $8.5 billion this year, as estimates show. Also, people have less disposable income because of rising cost of food, as well as bills and everything else.
Florida has over 2 million empty homes, yet it's still one of the most unaffordable places to live. Let's make this make some sense.
Florida has averaged 180,000 homes for sale. That's the largest number in state history.
And whether it's the high cost of insurance, moving after hurricanes, or rising condo fees, more people than ever before are...
If illegal immigrants, undocumented, unregistered, illegal immigrants in the state of Florida were stealing U.S. jobs, and that the only reason why U.S. citizens couldn't get a job anymore is because of all these illegal immigrants that are criminals, why is it that a month later, after one of the biggest raids on construction sites in Florida happened, why is it most of those jobs are still vacant? Why is it that a bunch of U.S. citizens didn't run to start taking on all of those jobs that now became free because all of the illegal immigrants that are supposedly criminals are detained or have been deported out of the state and the country? I'm just wondering. I mean, I don't want to apply logic and reason when it seems to be in scarce supply here. But what I know is that apparently this administration and this governor of Florida has preached this whole big narrative that we need to get rid of the illegal immigrants because they're criminals. But yet the stats that are coming back now show that less than 30% of the immigrants that were detained or in detainment right now at ICE facilities or have been deported out of the country don't even have a criminal record. So you're detaining people on the pretenses they might cause a crime. That's fine because we've got an actual felon in the White House, but yet nobody has a problem with that.
Florida beaches are empty because racism don't pay the bills. Now, those beaches and businesses are empty in Florida, and the business owners are scratching their head. They're like, I don't understand what's happening and why this is going on. This is what happens when you build your entire platform on bigotry and fear. When you spend years attacking immigrants, the very people who visit your state, spend money in your hotels, eat at your restaurants, buy your tacky ass beach tiles, don't act shocked when they stop showing up. And understand, it's not just tourists who aren't coming to Florida. When you squeeze the working class like a lemon, there is no juice left for joy. You think people got beach money right now? People can't even afford to go outside. And all those Trump tariffs, those weren't on corporations. Those were Trump taxes on us. Prices went up, jobs got cut, and now folks are choosing between groceries and gas, not plane tickets to Clearwater. And y'all made Florida a hostile environment, honestly. And not just for immigrants, but also for black people, LGBTQ, teachers, hell, even librarians. Y'all made the beach a battleground. So now it's just you and those overpriced souvenir stands collecting dust. And now conservative business owners are mad. But they're mad at the consequences of the policies that they voted for. Baby, this ain't karma. This is cause and effect. Conservative policies destroy communities, period. So ask yourself, how long are you guys going to continue to vote against your own business?
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Do you remember when Florida went all in with the whole Make America Great Again vibes? The red hats, the freedom rallies, the anti-immigrant crackdowns. The promise was simple: kick out the immigrants and somehow the economy would get stronger, the jobs would come back, and everyone would actually live happily ever after under the palm trees and patriotism. Well, fast forward now, and Florida's economy is looking like a MAGA fever dream gone wrong. Tourism is down, firms can't even find workers, construction sites are half empty, and the very people who actually voted for this mess, they are suddenly realizing that, wait a minute, maybe this wasn't such a great idea after all. Yeah, of course it wasn't. We are talking about businesses losing over $218 million in labor shortages, restaurants begging for staff, and hotels literally closing wings because there is nobody left to actually clean the rooms. Why? Because the same anti-immigrant policies they cheered for scared away the workers that actually kept Florida economy running. Now, this is like someone setting their house on fire because they didn't like the paint color and then getting mad at the firefighter for getting late. It doesn't make sense. You actually stabbed yourself in the back. And to make things worse, Florida leaders are actually pretending that this whole thing was part of the plan, while regular people are starting to panic. Construction deadlines are missed, farmers are losing their crops, and Florida billion-dollar tourism is actually taking the hit. It is MAGAFAFO season, the moment when economic reality slaps political fantasy right square in the face. And that's exactly why a lot of people have been actually telling Florida MAGA voters, you F around, you're gonna find out. I have a couple of videos that I've sampled for us to check out and react on. I'll be back with more commentary after this. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit that like button, leave me a comment of your opinion down below in the comment section. Really helps with pushing this video to a wider audience when you hit that like button and leave a comment. Let's take a look. I'll be back with more commentary.
Catastrophic loss to tourism in Florida just from Canadians.
A lot of them will not come because of Trump and what was going on with Canada. They just don't want to come and spend their money here. The cost of living here has changed a lot. Everything went up.
It's no secret Canadian snowbirds haven't been flocking to South Florida lately. President Trump's immigration rules and tariffs have caused controversy in Canada.
The greater Fort Lauderdale is expecting up to 150,000 fewer visitors from Canada. You know, they make up one of the largest groups of international visitors to South Florida. According to Visit Lauderdale, Canadian visitors...
Trump has cost South Florida $90 million and climbing just from Canadians. Just from Canadians. But wait, it gets worse. Did you know the entire world is boycotting the United States of America in tourism? Did you know that we are right now on track to lose $31 billion in tourism alone just in 2025? And that is an estimate. And yes, it has grown. Trump is destroying the USA. Do you agree? Have you canceled your trips to the USA? Drop your comments below.
Whoa, 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 hold on. The news is out. Newsweek is out about Florida. Florida real estate. Florida real estate, not just part of the state, the whole state is crashing. The whole state is suffering. Prices are falling and falling fast throughout the state. Why? We've been talking about it on this channel for over 2 years. Taxes are high. HOA fees are high. Insurance continues to go higher and higher and higher. That's if you can even get it. Florida real estate is in big, big trouble, and Newsweek spells it out. Basically what I've been saying for over 2 years. You just can't make a decent living in Florida. There's just not enough jobs. There's not enough opportunity. And even if you do have a decent job, the expenses are just getting completely out of hand. And people are now moving out of Florida in droves. Like and follow for more. We'll be talking a lot more about Florida real estate because the crash is on. Like and follow for more.
So apparently, Florida is in desperate need of construction workers. Imagine that. Yeah. So in the construction industry, they're having a hard time contracting workers. In these extreme temperatures that nobody wants to work in, they're having a hard time finding any gringo workers. But you all were out here complaining, hollering, deport, 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 and they're taking our jobs. And imagine a situation wherein Florida needs construction workers. Hello? Wake up, America. Where's our workers at? Where's these people that are needing all of these jobs? Because apparently there's some openings and there's not a wait list. Might want to go and apply.
Florida has over 2 million empty homes, yet it's still one of the most unaffordable places to live. Let's make this make some sense. So let's break this down. There are over 2 million homes in Florida that are sitting unused, unoccupied. And yet the state is in a full-blown housing crisis. People can't find affordable housing. Houses just keeps going up like Beyonce's ticket prices. And the kicker? Insurance companies are raising premiums like it's a new hurricane every week, and it's nothing even going on right now. Yeah, we've had no new hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico. In the Gulf of America, we've had nothing. So my question is, who is actually really benefiting in Florida from keeping those homes empty? Because somebody has to be benefiting from that. So they keep the homes empty and the rates high. Then who's really winning in that situation? Really? What's your thought? Why do you think they have so many homes sitting vacant in Florida and why their insurance rates are sky high? What do you think is really going on?
So all the illegal immigrants have been hunted by ICE agents all through Florida, and Florida construction, what a shocker, at a standstill. That's right, because while all the illegal immigrants have either been detained by ICE or are hiding because they don't want to even deal with ICE at all, shocker enough, American citizens haven't rushed to take those jobs. That's right, because even though the American citizens have all claimed that illegal immigrants are stealing jobs from Americans, none of them have actually gone out to do those jobs that the immigrants aren't doing anymore. So construction, surprise, sitting at a standstill. You've got vacancies and job openings all over, but yet nobody wants them. Why? Because immigrants of this country were doing jobs that Americans didn't want to do. If I'm wrong, leave a comment. If you agree with me, repost this and share it with more people.
Florida is having an FAFO moment to the tune of $218 million. That is the amount of money that Florida spent to renovate a remote airport training facility into Alligator Alcatraz. Last week, a judge ruled that Alligator Alcatraz needed to be shut down, not because of human rights violations, which we know are happening, but because of environmental impact. Indigenous people groups are celebrating as they shared that this was sacred land and it was destroying wetlands. Florida built this facility on their own dime, hoping that FEMA would reimburse them later down the road. But now that the facility is being shut down, they may be out all of this money. They also are going to have to spend between $15 and $20 million to tear it down. This is all happening when Florida is experiencing a huge budget crisis across the state, along with a real estate crisis. Insurance companies are leaving the state in droves as the climate crisis continues.
Alright guys, there you have it. Actually, Florida is the best example of the red states that have been actually hard hit with this FAFO season. Actually, F around and find out. Yeah, they actually voted exactly for what they're getting right now, because Florida sold its people this dream: freedom from federal regulation, freedom from immigrants, freedom from what they called woke politics, freedom from losing jobs to illegal immigrants. But what they really built was a trap, because freedom without responsibility, that is chaos. Now, to put this into context, Florida leaned hard into anti-immigrant laws like the SB 17 1918, which made it a felony for undocumented people to work and punished businesses that hired them. Remember, some businesses actually cannot find American citizens who are willing to work in certain sectors, for instance, like hotel cleaning, construction sites, people who actually work in the farms. These are sectors that actually need immigrant labor because they pay very little and no American worker is actually ready to work under minimum wage. So they're going to be hit hard because immigrant workers fled, not just the undocumented ones, but legal residents, and they all actually fled out of fear and uncertainty because we all know that there was mass raids in Florida, ICE raids left, right, and center in construction sites, in businesses, in the farms, and yeah, people do not want actually to be caught up in the middle of this, especially even those who are residents. They don't want to lose their residency, so they chose to opt out of these kinds of work. Now, the result was that tourism actually dropped, crops went unpicked and rot. We all remember the video we did a while ago of Florida crops actually rotting in the fields, especially tomatoes, because the farms did not have enough labor to actually go ahead and pick them crops. Why, you may ask? Because nearly 100% of the labor that farms actually use in the states, not just in Florida, come from illegal, undocumented immigrants, and all of them were actually bailing out on such work. They had either actually been deported or they are too scared to actually show up to work. And the state right now faces over 218 million US dollars in labor shortages, and that cost is still actually climbing. Yeah, that's exactly what you lose when you push policies that you thought were going to affect other people and they end up actually biting you back in your backs because you effed around. Now you're finding out and suddenly you're crying online looking for sympathy. Your farmers are actually begging for bailouts, but they aren't gonna get any because the orange man isn't actually too concerned about that. He's busy giving tax cuts to his billionaire buddies, and you are not part of that. Now we have to understand that one of the biggest lies ever sold to working class Americans, including even poor white folks, is that immigrants are stealing their jobs. Nah, immigrants are doing the jobs that the system refuses to value. That is cleaners in hotels, people who pick actually crops in the farms, plumbers, construction site people. These hard labor jobs that actually the system does not value, that American citizens do not actually want to do because they are too ashamed to actually go ahead and do such jobs. Those are mostly the jobs that immigrants are doing. And when you go ahead and claim that these people are taking your jobs, then who are going to be replacing them in those jobs? Because there is no American citizen that wants to pick crops in the farms. Nobody. And the fact is that Florida's biggest industries, tourism, agriculture, and construction, all depend on immigrant labor. These jobs are often hard to do because they require a lot of intensive manual labor, low paid. Yeah, most of them are actually earning minimum wage on these jobs, and seasonal. They are not actually readily available every time because you ain't gonna be picking up crops every now and then. You ain't gonna have construction sites every now and then. Now, regardless of this, they actually keep the state of Florida running. And when those workers actually vanish, everyone is gonna feel it, from restaurant owners to middle-class families who can't even get repairs or fresh produce. That's exactly what happens to people who actually go ahead and vote against their best interest. Now, if you think about it, that's how exploitation works, because rich politicians sell you fear while quietly profiting from the same systems they claim to fight. The workers at the bottom, whether brown, black, or immigrant, end up fighting each other while the billionaires just count the money. Yeah, that's basically why the state of Florida is actually being hit hard by MAGA actually regretting their vote, because this is one of the states that actually went ahead and backbeat itself in the back because they didn't actually realize how much they depend depended on immigrant labor and a lot of things that they voted against in their MAGA policies. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about today's episode? I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit the like button. See you on the next episode. Peace out.